Folks, Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
All right, everyone. Welcome to BMW of Atlantic City Studios, A2D Radio. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer. We're the Sports Hounds. Traffic was a little thick coming over the Walt Whitman tonight as LeBron James taking on the process in South Philadelphia. LeBron James came to play. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the show. 48-39, just under 2 minutes ago in the first half. But
how about that first quarter, Rob?
LeBron James has run it to 19 points. He's 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line.
In how many minutes?
How many minutes is he up to? He's back in the game. He has 16 minutes played now,
16.
according to my game cast.
So he has more points than minutes played.
For anyone to argue with me, and I get he's not the most likable athlete on the planet, but for anyone to argue with me that he's not the best player in the world, I think that's just an asinine statement. I don't understand how anybody can
listen. Nobody really likes
watch
his
basketball
personality,
intelligently.
Listen, he may be a personality annoyance, but he's still the best player in the NBA. I mean, come on. Anybody who says is not is just not paying attention. I mean, he is. He's still the best player in the league.
All right, so we got that going on. It's a big game. Sixers were actually favored in the game, according to Vegas, Brad. They were 2.5-point favorites at tip-off. Obviously, things not going their way, but still a whole nother half to play. We'll see how it shakes out
It's
for
early.
them. We'll keep you. We got NBA. The Philadelphia Eagles, another massacre yesterday at Lincoln Financial Field. They absolutely destroy the Bears. What was the final? 31-3.
31-3, and I have from David Rosca. Let's go Rams. Let's go Chargers.
Let's go Rams. That's our resident Los
California.
Angeles. Hey, we appreciate him checking in all the way out there in California.
That's okay.
He might still be at work. He's probably at happy hour somewhere at that 3-hour difference. So we thank him for taking a break from Monday night happy hour to check in with the Sports Hounds here on the East Coast. But, Brad, let's get into ScanzanoSports.com poll question day. Who's the second best team? I think everyone's in agreement. The Eagles not only the best team in the NFC, they're the best team in pro football right now. Who's the second best team in the NFC? Because the Patriots and the Steelers are on a collision course for the AFC Championship game. All those other teams in the AFC absolutely stink. They blow.
Agreed.
They're
Horrible.
terrible. The Chiefs stink. The Titans stink. The Bills, the Chargers, Jacksonville, they all stink.
Awful. For Jacksonville to lose to the Cardinals.
The NFC playoffs are going to be absolute
Terrible.
gauntlet. It's going to be great football to watch. But so we have A, the Vikings, B, the Rams, C, the Saints, or D, coming up from the rear, making it a late season charge here, the Atlanta Falcons.
Ooh. You know what? For my money right now, I have to go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Very impressive game on Thanksgiving there.
You know, it is not easy to go into Detroit.
Doug
and
Zeke,
win.
Vikings, but it really doesn't matter. Agreed. Steelers too inconsistent. Steelers suspect to me. Justin DeFalco. Mike Chromiak, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the Rams. The Rams impressed me a lot yesterday too, because I thought they were exposed by Minnesota. I thought the Saints were a good team. So I was impressed by the Rams, but I got to go with the Vikings. I think I got to agree with you.
Yeah, Bleeding Green says that yesterday's game
I would
was
not be wanting to play the
practice.
Atlanta Falcons at all if I were anybody right now.
Well, the Saints are going to have to play him twice.
They still had to
got
play the Saints twice.
They have their work.
They
cut
could
out
still
for
win
them.
that division.
Yeah.
And Carolina's a good team. I think they're going to make
Carolina's
the team as well.
Carolina is still in there, and David just wants to let everybody know he's not at work. He is at AZ, and he's from OC, California. OC. Oh, what is OC?
Was that Orange County?
Orange County. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
But
That's correct. Okay. That's
getting
cool,
back to
David.
the Eagles, we back to the poll question a little bit. But, Brad, how good is this defense? This
Which
is
one?
the Eagles defense.
The Eagles defense is phenomenal right now.
This is early 90s Eagles stuff. This might be the best defense in Eagles franchise history.
Be careful now, though. Keep in mind.
I thought about it while I was sitting in traffic for
mind,
people going to the Sixers game.
I
I've thought about it, Brad.
I understand what you're saying, but keep in mind, of the last 3 weeks, they played 3 of the worst teams in the NFL. So
okay.
I know they've been playing well, and they're supposed to destroy those teams. That doesn't necessarily mean you automatically.
The Bears were
destroy
3-7, but they show up every week.
Yeah, but they can't score. And Denver can't score. And who's the
and if the Eagles won those games 21-17, 17-14, I would buy into that argument. But they are demolishing these football teams.
The offense has a lot to do with why the defense is so good, because what's happening is their offense is so
I don't
good.
agree with that. I think it's the other way around.
Well, I think the offense is so good, they are putting everybody on their heels. They're getting big leads in the first quarter.
But
they
Brad,
come out on fire, and they make the other team one-dimensional. And that
Tom
goes out
Arnone,
defense.
the defense is playing better than the 0-4 defense easily. 100% agree with that. They're better in the trenches. I think they have better linebackers than that team. The secondary, 0-4 secondary is better on paper just because Dalk was back there. But, I mean, this secondary is playing phenomenal as well. But
I have from Bleeding
Go ahead, Reed.
Okay, he says he thinks the Rams are better than the Vikings, and he also thinks the
I
Eagles
can't
are
really
better.
make that argument right now because they played head-to-head, and the Rams got absolutely spanked.
Well,
So I hear you, they might be.
It was on the road, though. I mean, the Rams were in Minnesota, and, home field advantage for the Vikings does make a difference. The Vikings are a very good home team.
I mean, everyone should be a good – if you're a good team and you're not good at home, you're not a good team.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, any really good team that's worth their salt is going to be tough to beat at home. I mean, that's pretty much.
But when you look at Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, you're designing a game plan to go up against whatever team you're playing. Next week it's going to be Seattle.
That's going to be the degree of difficulty the next 2 weeks.
Stop. Seattle's a bunch of mutts. Russell Wilson's going to get killed.
They're still a lot better than the 3 teams they played the last 3 weeks.
They're one-dimensional. They can't block up front. They're depleted on defense. I don't think the Rams different story.
They're not a playoff team.
No, they're not.
Seattle. They're not a playoff team.
No, they're not. But if you look at the game planning offensively, if Carson Wentz in this offense puts up 2 touchdowns, they win the game. They
might very well win the game. You're right.
If they put up 2 touchdowns, that's against anybody.
Well, I don't know.
Anybody.
I mean, that could be debatable. I mean, any team. Listen.
They don't let up yards, let alone points.
I understand that. Let's see what happens, though, the next 2 weeks. As I said, they're going to be tested these next 2 weeks.
They'll be tested against the Rams for sure. They're not going to be tested next week against Seattle.
I think it's going to be some. I think they should. Well, I can't say they
That's
should.
That's a double-digit win.
I think they will win the game. I think the Ram game is really going to be their biggest test of the season to date.
Michael DeAndre, Seattle's outmatched. Eagles going to roll them. I 100% agree. There's no Richard Sherman. There's no Cam Chancellor. They can't block anybody up front. They can't run the ball.
Those 2 are big losses for Seattle. But to be quite honest with you, their defense, even when those guys were in there, their defense hadn't really been playing all that great this year. And
Mike also thinks the Rams are the second best team.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I think it's the Vikings. But again, I think people are not giving Case Keenum enough credit. I'm starting to believe what I'm seeing with him. He looked awfully good.
The proof's in the pudding. Bob Brinkman, no TDs allowed in the past 2 games. Did Dallas score a touchdown? They didn't, right?
No.
They kicked 3 field goals.
3 field goals.
3 field goals, all by Mike Nugent.
All by Mike Nugent. So
who is now no longer on the Cowboys.
What a shame.
The Cowboys without.
He's probably happy about that. They're a train wreck right now.
Without Elliott, they're in shambles, and you know what? Good for them. Glad to see it.
So what's it been? It's been 8+ quarters that the Eagles defense hasn't let up a touchdown.
They've been phenomenal the last. No, it's more than 8 quarters.
Probably. I'd have to look. I'd have to look to see when the Broncos
the Broncos got 2 late, meaningless touchdowns when the game was out.
So 8 quarters.
Yeah, it's 8 quarters.
It's 8 quarters.
8 quarters is still darn good.
But does that Von Miller touchdown count? It shouldn't. It's a defensive touchdown. Defense had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
no, it didn't. It didn't. It didn't.
I mean,
so it's 8+ quarters. This is
on the Eagles defense itself. So
that's an 0-1 Baltimore Ravens type stat. That it is. That's one of the best
The
defenses
Ravens-
of all time
the
since
Ravens
the
only
85
gave
Bears.
But the Ravens only gave up 144 points that year in 16 games. I mean, there's a big difference between that and what the Eagles' defense has been outstanding. And you know what? Really, the errors are different because there's so many more things that the wide receivers can get away with now that they couldn't get away with before.
That 144 points in a season, that record will never be broken.
No, not now.
Not with the way they call the game and the rules of the game. Last TD in the last quarter of Denver game.
Right.
But I don't even count that. That's from Bob. I don't even count that because it was a strip sack by Von Miller. Defense was on the sideline. And it was Nick Foles, not Carson Wentz. Dallas was supposed to be the team to beat. Yeah, they were, but they got a bunch of knuckleheads down there. And Dak Prescott stinks. See him on Thanksgiving, Dak Prescott.
He was terrible.
Terrible.
He was terrible. And Bleeding Green says Russie Wilson will be running for his life the whole game. We agree with you.
I mean, he was running for his life against the Niners.
Yes, he was.
And this is a whole heck of a lot better defense than the San Francisco 49ers.
Not even in the same galaxy. So I would agree with you 100%. I mean, the Eagles are a better team than Seattle. I think they're going to win the game. I don't think it's going to be easy because I think, again, Seattle is a team that has a lot of pride. They're going to be fighting for their lives. It's going to be all hands on deck. I think they're going to give their best effort, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I just think the Eagles are just a better team, and that's what's going to happen.
53-45, Cleveland Cavaliers lead by 8 at halftime. LeBron James, 22 points, 7 rebounds at halftime in just 17 minutes.
Well, at least the Sixers stopped him from getting so many rebounds. I mean, he had 7 rebounds in the first quarter.
Eagles only getting better. They are really coming together as a team, very balanced, can beat you from all directions. How do you stop that? You can't stop that.
Their offense is just unbelievable. Really, when you watch them come out on the field, I mean.
Now you made fun of the Bears being not a good team. Bears had the 5th best rushing attack in the NFL.
Yeah, but they probably have the worst passing attack in the NFL, and you know the way the game is played.
Doesn't matter. Every other team knew that they couldn't pass the ball and could only run the ball, and they still had the 5th best. Not against the Eagles. They didn't get a first down until the 3rd quarter.
The Bears are terrible, though. I mean,
they're not terrible. They're not a good team.
They're bad. Listen, they're going to.
The Browns are terrible. The Niners are terrible.
The Giants are terrible.
The Giants are terrible. Officially, mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, they're terrible. With the team that they put on the field on Thursday night, that was just horrible.
But every other team knows that the Bears are one-dimensional, and they still ran the ball on them.
But if
because the Eagles are the best defense in the league.
Let me ask you a question. When the other teams have a big lead, they're basically giving them the run, and they're just not letting them get any big plays against them. It's a little different, but I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the Eagles.
Sounds like you are.
Well, I want to see them against a good offense, and unfortunately, I mean, you can't. It's not their fault that the schedule has been tissue soft this year, but I mean it is.
Well, this is what always happens in the NFC East. They finished 3rd last year. They play a 3rd place schedule. That's easier than what the Giants and the Cowboys had to play, finishing 1st and 2nd.
It's not necessarily that as much as just the NFC East this year is having a down year. I mean, it's kind of like the Nationals in the National League East. There's not going to be a 500 team in the NFC East this year. They're all going to be below 500. So I mean, they've had. Basically, they're going to run through that division. They had a very good win against Carolina, but right now that's their signature win. I mean,
and that's a good win on the road where the game was clearly rigged against the Eagles by Pete Morelli and that kangaroo court referee.
It absolutely is. But again, we are going to be seeing now they're going to be tested against 2 teams that are over 500. I mean, honestly, you have to look at it and be honest. They've only played 2 teams over 500 this year, so it's not like they've not had the most difficult of schedules. So.
Michael DeAndre, heard LeBron might be shopping soon. Could he come here? Nothing would make me happier, Mike. I am the biggest LeBron James fan in the world, maybe. If he comes to the Sixers, process complete. They will make the Golden State Warriors look like a JV team. They will win championship after championship. Then you'll have the Eagles with Carson Wentz winning championship after championship. It's a good time to be a Philadelphia sports fan.
Okay, we got Pretty Boy 21 BB, and the Eagles can only get better practicing week in and week out of top 5 defense versus top 5 offense only makes you better.
That's a good point. Michael Jackson, Eagles and Cowboys tied for 10th hardest schedule coming into the year. I don't put much stock in that. I hate the win-loss game when the schedule first comes out because you never
really
know.
No, you don't really know, and you don't know what teams are going to get injured. I mean, we didn't know Aaron Rodgers was going to be hurt, so I mean, you can't. I mean that, and again, Elliott missing 6 games. I mean, it makes the Cowboys that.
Yeah,
much
but Elliott's
weaker.
a crumb. Elliott should have just took his medicine, sat out 6 games. They would have been 2-4, 3-3, and he would have been fresh for the stretch run, and they would have been a thorn in the Eagles' sides because he would have been able to play in both games against the Eagles if he just sat out at 6 games.
He would have, but I don't think.
Or said, hey, yo, Roger, 6 is way too many. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. I'll sit out 3 or 4.
Yeah, but they wanted to go for nothing because Jerry Jones.
Well, Jerry Jones, an all-or-nothing
Jerry
guy.
Jones, yeah, Jerry
Sometimes
Jones
that works out for
can't-
you, but he cost them the season with this
Well, he had
constant.
He had to go tit for tat with Goodell, and you're not going to win that battle. I mean, I know he's trying to get him fired from being commissioner. That's not going to work either. Zeke is still going to be suspended, and you know what? You're not going to make the playoffs, Jerry. And you know what? Your defense, by the way, stinks.
Well, it's a Sean Lee factor. He's the Ezekiel Elliott of the Cowboys defense.
But Sean Lee is always hurt. If you're
true.
counting on Sean Lee, I mean, Sean Lee, it seems like the only time he's ever healthy is when they play the Giants, quite honestly. Because Sean Lee is never – it seems like the guy never plays. If he plays 8 games in a season, you're getting a bargain with him because he just never plays. And they went
13-3 when he was fully healthy. That wasn't a coincidence.
Oh, he's a great player. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying he can never stay on the field.
Chris Rico, thanks for checking in. Do you think Schwartz will be back next year? I've heard he's becoming a hot candidate as a head coaching job. I mean, haven't we read this book before with Jim Schwartz?
Oh, God.
As a head coach?
He was the coach for Detroit, was he not?
And Buffalo, correct? Frank, right? Didn't he coach the Bills?
Was he a head coach?
I know he coached
definitely the Lions.
Definitely the Lions.
I know he coached the Lions. I don't think he was the head coach for Buffalo, though.
Let's look it up. We have the internet to help us.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
But
he did coach Buffalo. Yep, 2014.
Okay, 1 year.
1 year.
And
Well, 1 year as the defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay. No, we're talking about head coach.
Head coach, Detroit.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Then he coached Detroit for what, 2 years?
don't you think he'd be better served staying with this
4
defense?
years. 5 years. Excuse me, 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
And this core than going to coach? I mean, what are the vacancies going to be? I don't think Hugh Jackson's going to get fired.
What about the Giants?
But all these teams want offensive guys, it seems like.
Well, okay. I mean,
Am I wrong? Am I wrong in that?
No, you're not.
Shanahan, Hugh Jackson was an offensive guy.
I'm just thinking there are certain. I'm just thinking the coaches that could get canned this year. Cincinnati. Oh no, Cincinnati is in the playoffs. Excuse me. They are in the playoff hunt right now. What are they?
No, they're not.
Yeah, they're 5-6.
Since the Bengals are not going to the playoffs, Brad.
They're 5-6.
Okay, let's use logical thinking and our
AFC
brains.
The AFC,
even in a weak AFC, they stink.
This year. I know, but they're 5-6.
But the Chargers are 5-6 too.
I
Are you telling me the Bengals are a better team than the Chargers? No.
And you know what? They may have. I think that the Chargers might have an easier schedule because that division right now is terrible.
Again, speaking to the fact that I hate the win-loss game before the season, everyone thought the AFC West was going to be loaded.
Well, you never know.
The Raiders have underachieved. They won yesterday. The Broncos, they're a hot mess. I don't know what the Chiefs are doing. And the Chargers are hot.
The Chargers remember the Chargers were 0-4.
0-5.
No, they were 0-4. They beat the Giants to make themselves 1-4.
Every team wants offensive guys. Tom Arnone, Chris, I definitely think he's back. Schwartz wants a ring, and this is his best opportunity. Well, yeah, he's going to get his ring this year, and then maybe he'll move on to somewhere. But I mean, like getting back to who's getting fired in the NFL?
Well, okay, we got Pretty Boy again saying the league is trending towards young coaches who can connect with players. See Sean McVay and they also like offensive-minded coaches to pair with young quarterbacks. That is very, very true. Again, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but if the Eagles get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, any one of their coaches is going to be a commodity. And
Chargers
that's just how it is.
Mike check. Chargers only one game out of first place in the division. They could win it. I don't know what. This is a typical Andy Reid, just little mid-season swoon. I bet you he wins all 4 games in December. They go and cook into the playoffs, and then he loses a home playoff game that he's supposed to win.
Sounds kind of almost like Marty Schottenheimer, like.
He is the modern-day Marty Schottenheimer. That's an excellent comparison.
He is
as a
Marty
Philadelphia fan,
Schottenheimer.
I've read this book with Andy Reid a lot. You think they're down and out and dead, and the fans stop caring. Oh, fire Andy, chance. Then he goes on a big run in December. Then he gets the fans thinking this is going to be the year Andy does it. Then he loses a home playoff game where he's favored.
But you still had Donovan McNabb. I mean, they have Alex Smith as their quarterback, and I'm sorry.
He was
Alex
the
Smith
MVP through 6 games.
He was playing over his head. I mean, did you ever really think Alex Smith was that good?
He's not bad.
He's okay.
There's worse quarterbacks. The problem is their defense. Their secondary is terrible.
Yeah, but you know what? They only gave up 16 to Buffalo yesterday. They lost 16-10. I mean, they only scored 10 points against Buffalo at home, no less.
It's not a good look.
They only scored 9 points against the Giants. They did not get the ball in the end zone against the Giants. And I watched a lot of that game. That was a terrible performance by the Chiefs. You know, the Giants, albeit their defense is starting to play a little better now.
I'm telling you, if
there's
I know
no
Andy
excuse for
Reid
that.
at all, and I think I do, watching him pretty much my whole life, watch the Eagles, is he's still got a run left in him. Alex Smith still has a run left in him, and they're going to fall just short, like they always do.
Okay, we got Bleeding Green saying that Andy Reid never adjusts. Chargers play Chiefs again, but besides that, Chiefs' schedule is a cupcake. Well, their schedule may be a cupcake, but how do you explain losing to the New York Giants and losing to the Buffalo Bills at home? The Buffalo Bills, who just got beat, I think they just gave up, 55 to who did they give up 55
They
to?
got smoked. I forget what the final score was. They got smoked by the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame the backup quarterback only so much. 55 points to the Chargers.
It's bad. Eagles have the highest scoring offense in the league. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Carson Wentz the MVP.
Without question. I mean, is that a question?
It shouldn't be.
No.
Chris Rico, what about Vaitai? I know it's early, but it looks like he's really improving. You think he could be the future left tackle once Peters retires? Absolutely, I think he could be the left.
He looks real good.
You keep Lane Johnson in his comfort zone on the right side. You put Vaitai in there at left tackle.
Vaitai has made.
He's
your
done
loss.
just fine.
Vaitai has made the loss not look that like it's that big of a
And Brad,
deal.
I know you're a salary cap nerd. Was what, 5th, 6th round pick.
So he's not paying.
You're not paying him anything, and he's going to be your starting left tackle.
That's a beauty. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing because you have to. You have to make sure that you're not getting pounded in that direction because that'll kill you.
The line's intact. You're going to have Towers at the tackles. The guards are set up nicely.
Listen,
Kelsey's resurgent, who I thought was down and out.
The Eagles are going to be in good shape with the cap next year too, because I mean, look, Jeffrey and Smith are both signed for 1 year. So you have the option of bringing them back.
Torrey Smith can take a hike, as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
I never liked him, but Jeffrey's
gives
been
you nothing.
outstanding.
Alshon has been outstanding.
He has been outstanding. I was not high on Smith when they signed him, and you remember.
Yeah, but he's a complimentary piece.
Yeah, no, listen, he doesn't even have to be a complimentary
Not with this
piece.
running attack and Ertz and
Aguilar
Jeffrey.
but
Aguilar
stepped up.
doing front flips into the end zone.
Yeah,
This guy couldn't play last year. Aguilar could not
has
play.
Really stepped up this year. I was that one catch he made yesterday that he turned into a touchdown. That was an impressive play.
Yeah, the front flip.
Yeah, I mean that was Beckham-like with the way he takes those long strides when he gets the ball. I mean he looks a lot like Beckham when he's running. He's a pretty player to watch when he gets the ball in his hands. You know, I mean,
Vaitai still has a lot of doubters out there. I'm all in either way. This team looks great. I mean, isn't the proof in the tape? I mean, Carson Wentz, he got hit a couple times yesterday by the Bears. It made me cringe a little bit. But for the most part, he's got a clean pocket every time he drops back.
listen, every quarterback.
You don't get a clean pocket if you have a liability at left tackle.
Every
Is he the
quarterback's
best
gonna
left
get hit.
tackle in the league? No, but he's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
He'd be the best offensive lineman on the Seahawks if we were on the Seahawks.
He'd probably be the best offensive lineman on the Giants.
And I mean,
that's for sure. Now
this offensive line, and this guy's a backup.
So now we have Bleeding Green trying to make a case to move to let Big V play tackle and move Peters to left guard next year. I wouldn't get carried away with that. That you might be getting carried away there.
Well, I mean, Peters just tore his ACL for I believe he's had an Achilles and an ACL in the same leg. So his days on the outside, his days as a football player might be done.
Yeah,
if you
just don't know. You just don't
but
know
if he
him.
wants to play and doesn't want to make that ridiculous left tackle salary, and he can beat out Brandon Brooks or Wisniewski, which I think he can beat out Wisniewski if he's healthy at a guard position, that only makes you better. It's phenomenal if you could play guard.
Oh, absolutely. Look, listen, there are a lot of players that have moved around. I mean, offensively and defensively. I mean, if you remember, I know this is going back for some of you guys who've been around a while. If you guys remember Joe Klecko, who used to play for the Jets. That's a guy that made Pro Bowl at defensive end, nose tackle, and what's the other? And I think the second one in guard.
Right, guard.
Guard, yeah. He made it in 3 different positions. He made Pro Bowl at 3 different positions, and I'll tell you what. I know Pro Bowl is not all pro, but you know what? It can be done. If you're that good athletically, you can do it.
Couple more comments here. Vinny checking in. I'm not buying the Vikings. I think these teams on their home field, i.e. Saints going into LA yesterday, if that game was in the Dome, Saints win that one. I agree with that. Lanny is starting to catch their stride, but outside their dome, I'm not buying them and their record. They'll be traveling. They did just win at Seattle. I know we just dogged Seattle a little bit, but they're still very good at home. And they still do have some good players, but they're not going to be able to hang with the Eagles next year. So the team that could give the biggest scare, because this is where they'll be coming, is the Saints, in my opinion. I mean, look, I think you could throw the Vikings, the Rams, and the Saints in a hat and pick one, and that's the best team. Any given week that could switch. But Case Keenum is for real. It's time to give Case Keenum his due. He played excellent on Thanksgiving, dropping dimes. At this point in time, on November 27, 2017, I got to say the Vikings are the second best team. And I was all on the Saints being the second best team last week. Michael DeAndre said, could the NFC East really come through Philly? What are your thoughts? The NFC East is done. I think Mike is talking about the NFC as a general. And, yes, I think the Eagles will get home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. Road to the Minneapolis, the road to the Super Bowl is going to come through Philadelphia. That's a huge advantage.
Now we got from Pretty Boy, he's saying that he thinks that Michigan is going to be offering Harbaugh the lifetime contract to keep him away from the Cowboys. I don't know.
Send him to Dallas. Please send him to Dallas.
He's not going
overrated coach. His shtick gets tired, just like Chip Kelly's shtick got tired in the pros. Harbaugh's got tired out in San Francisco. I'll drive him there myself, the Big D. They're better off with Jason Garrett.
Yeah, I agree. You're going to blame Jason Garrett for the mess in Dallas? I mean, their whole team and their whole concept offensively is Ezekiel Elliott. They don't have their quarterback is a fraud, and you could work with Dak till the cows come home. Dak was a 4th-round pick, and now he's starting to play like a 4th-round pick. You know, I mean, it's as simple as that.
I mean, what I've been saying for 2.5 years, that Dak Prescott can't be good in the NFL without everything going his way. Everyone's finally realizing that I was right.
We've been trying to say it. He can drive the Cadillac, but he can't drive the Volkswagen. I mean, it's really very simple. Dak Prescott is not going to carry a team.
There's a reason he was a 4th-round pick.
Well, yeah, because he's not the kind of guy who can carry a team. He's not Carson Wentz. He's not Goff.
Nowhere close.
He's not Goff. And
Nowhere close.
He's not going to carry a team.
Nowhere close.
He's not Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can carry a team.
Nowhere close. Matthew Stafford, he's nowhere close.
Nope.
Phillip Rivers, he's nowhere close.
No. Ben Roethlisberger, no. Brady, no.
He's in the Alex Smith, Andy Dalton tier of quarterbacks.
Yeah, the tier that –
if you have everything set up perfect for him.
The game
He
management
can be
tier.
good.
The
Correct.
the game management tier. That's about what
Like,
it
he's
is.
nowhere close to Matt Ryan. He's nowhere close
No.
to Russell Wilson.
No.
He's just not.
No.
Drew Brees, he's nowhere close.
Not even in the same galaxy.
Even a guy like Cam Newton, who
Cam Newton is
I'm not the biggest fan of.
Cam Newton is a
Cam Newton
very
can
good,
sling it.
He's a very good quarterback. I don't put him as an elite quarterback, but I put him on the top of that second tier. He's not a game manager, but he's on the top of that second tier. So if you're going to say like the top
Right.
5 quarterbacks in the NFL,
Solid assessment.
he's-
I agree with that.
He's somewhere between 6 and 10. That's where I put Cam Newton. You can take a game and put it on his shoulders, and he can win a game for you, Cam Newton, without a doubt. I mean,
With his legs, he doesn't have to
yeah.
throw it.
well, but he can throw it. He's got a strong arm.
I mean,
sometimes he runs too much for my liking. I think sometimes if he just stayed in the pocket a little longer, he might be able to, find some more receivers. But he can still win a game for you by himself. He's that good.
He doesn't have good offensive line there. He doesn't have top-tier receivers.
Mediocre offensive line, and he's always had mediocre receivers, and he hasn't had Greg
They
Olsen.
have Christian McCaffrey this year, but, I mean, they're running backs. Jonathan Stewart, he's washed.
They have great. They haven't had their tight end all season. Greg Olsen. I
He played yesterday. Now he's
then
going
he-
back to the
yeah, but he got
footstep
hurt.
specialist.
Yeah, but he got hurt again. So
The Eagles can beat any team. Hold on, where'd that comment go by Chris? Okay, there it is. The Eagles can beat any team in the NFC. The only team that concerns me is New England. I think we're heading for a rematch in February.
you might very
100%
well be.
agree with that.
You might very well. be.
100% agree with that. And then Tom Brady is going to pass the torch right to Carson Wentz.
Well, we'll see about that. That's
Michael
that's a long way
DeAndrea,
alone.
Dak was drafted to a team with Dez Bryant, Witten, Ezekiel Elliott, and the best offensive line in football. All these guys are old and soon gonna need a lot of new players. I agree with that.
Well,
And
Rob,
it's-
he is, and he's not as bad, but I'm going to give you a guy that he's similar to, and he reminds me, same situation, Mark Sanchez. When Mark Sanchez first got drafted by the Jets,
right.
they had a great defense, they had a real good offensive line, they had real nice running backs, real good receivers.
They had a defense that hit you right in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And he was out there, and he was a game manager, and he could hand the ball off, and if he needed to make a throw, he could make a throw. But once the Jets' offensive line started going to pot, once the defense was not as great as it was, all of a sudden Mark Sanchez became known as the butt fumbler, and it's kind of like the same thing with Prescott. You can't put Prescott on a team with all these deficiencies and expect him to be an all-pro quarterback. It's not going to happen. He's not a franchise quarterback.
I think my life would be complete if Dak Prescott made any type of play as bad as the butt fumble.
That would be pretty fun.
That'd be awesome.
That would be pretty.
That
fun
would be
to see
awesome.
that.
Sixers scratching and clawing down at the Wells Fargo Center.
what are we looking at now?
66-60. Midway
Okay.
through the third quarter, got it
They're
down to
battling.
6.
They're
LeBron
battling.
James, 26 points. They have to do something about him, but what can you do?
Well,
You can't
try
do
to-
anything.
You try to double team him, and you try to make him pass the ball to somebody else, I suppose.
Joel Embiid leading the way for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's got 19 points
Yeah, Joel Embiid.
through 2.5 quarters. Not
Joel
too
Embiid
shabby
is
there.
probably one, as I've said before. When he's on the court and healthy, he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA, without a doubt. And the Flyers have just tied up the Penguins.
Gonna need more from Ben Simmons, Brad, if you're gonna beat a team like the Cavs. Only 6 points in 25 minutes. I know he's a little banged up with the shoulder elbow thing, but 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. I mean, he's filling it up, but I mean, it's Simmons and Embiid. If those guys aren't scoring 20-plus points each, you're not going to beat a team like the Cavs. So he's going to have to turn it on offensively if the Sixers want to overtake a team like Cleveland. Yeah,
Right.
the Flyers are in action. I got worked up about the Flyers. They're not worth my time, the Flyers. They're so frustrating to watch.
Big game tonight for them, though. I mean, if they're going to make a run and try to get back into this thing, it's
There,
gotta
John
start tonight.
Burke. John Burke checking in. Sorry to get off topic. How do you feel about the Flyers, Brad? I think they stink.
They are the epitome of what a bad team does. They find different ways to lose every game. I I mean, the Islander game was a classic example. I mean,
Was that the night before Thanksgiving? I was watching it at the bar. Or do you want to talk about the one?
That was the
Black Friday game.
That was the Black Friday game.
Which one? You can take your pick.
The Black
Proving
Friday
your
game.
point.
The Black Friday game was worse because they were ahead 4-2. They were ahead 4-2, and then they gave up the late goal in the second period to make it 4-3, and then the Islanders go and they tie it. And I mean, this was just that was just such an awful game for them to lose. I mean, they played I thought they played a real strong game that game, and just they found a way to not cover Anders Lee in front of the net, which still astounds me that goal went in. And on the 3-on-3, Jake Voracek just kind of is sitting there, and he goes and he double covers. I can't remember who it was now, but one of the Islander who scored was wide open. I think it was Letty. He just walked in, nobody around him.
Oh, that's
I mean,
that's $8 million a year for you.
That was just terrible.
Claude Giroux. I mean,
but that was a game. Both the Islander games were terrible losses. I mean, boy, oh boy. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. But now it appears that the Flyers just scored. They're now up 2-1. As I said, this would be typical Flyers though, to go out when all
they always do
when
well
all
against the
chips are down.
Penguins.
Yeah. Well, last year they didn't. They lost 3 out of 4 against them. So even last year, even against the Penguins, they were down. But you know what? This would be, if they can find a way to beat the Penguins, this would be a big jump-off point. Maybe they could get themselves going because time is not running out yet. It's still early. It's only
but Brad,
it's only
you
a
look
quarter
at
of the
them
season.
stacked up, top to bottom, against these teams like the Lightning, like the Capitals, like the Penguins, even the Rangers, the Islanders, and the Devils, who aren't necessarily Stanley Cup contenders, but are playoff teams. The Flyers are nowhere close. Their goaltending is nowhere close. They have Giroux and Voracek eating up the payroll. They have guys like Val Filippa, or whatever his name is, making $5 million a year. Not a $5 million a year player. They have no Andy McDonald's, your third best defenseman. They're so far away.
And by the way, the aforementioned Devils are now trailing the Florida Panthers, the lowly Florida Panthers. They just lost Dadonov on Sunday, 1-0. Or excuse me, on Saturday they lost Dadonov, who was on the first line, 1-0. So that's a big game. I think the story tonight, really, if you want to get into it totally, is the return of Carey Price to the Montreal Canadiens, and the fact that they right now are leading the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-0. Now that would be a major upset.
I told you this last week. Carey Price just it doesn't matter for him right now.
But what is going on with him though? It's just so strange. with
Carey
him.
Price is so good. He's just gonna flip a switch, and he's gonna be Carey Price.
Well,
he
he's
starts
gonna-
for Team Canada.
He's gonna have.
He's
to
got
be.
the goods.
He's gonna have to be because, yeah. I mean, and that we're getting from Bleeding Green. He's talking about how frustrating the Flyers were with even strength goals, and now they're suffering on the power play. They do have a young team, and David Rocca from Anaheim, huge Duck fan. You've been living there. Let me tell you something, David. You just got your brains beat in by the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
I like the Knights.
Okay, the Golden Knights, by the way, the first place Golden Knights, who basically spanked you and spanked the San Jose Sharks.
Spanking everyone. They're an
And
expansion team.
They are now back in first place after a very shaky 7-game road trip. They have come back, and they are extremely tough to beat at home. And I mean, a little hats off to that team, because that team, when they started off red hot 7-2, and then they went on that tough road trip. And I think they were 1-4. I think they were 1-4-2 on that road trip. A lot of people were saying, well, you know what? There you go. They're on the road. It's coming apart. That team, they've been playing over their heads. Well, guess what? They come back home again, and now they're beating up teams again, and they're beating teams in their division. That is an impressive hockey team. And, boy, don't you think that these general managers around the league right now, when somebody mentions the Golden Knights to them, they probably are just hanging up the phone, slamming the door, and walking away because they're disgusted? I mean, boy, oh boy, think about that.
Brian Daly, the Flyers are a young team with an average goalie, and they're bound to make mistakes. They are missing a pure sniper. I would rather see them go through this now than May. They won't be a playoff team regardless. I agree. I've been saying they're not a playoff team for a while now. Anaheim's a very hurt team. Once the Ducks get healthy, they'll be get everyone back. They'll be back in contention. John Burke, Andrew McDonald needs to move teams ASAP. Preaching to the choir on that one.
They should buy him out. I mean, that's what should have happened over the summer.
71-67, Sixers scratching and clawing the process.
Well, they're
against LeBron James.
They're hanging in there. Let's see what happens there. How about one other surprising team in the NHL, Rob, and that's the Winnipeg Jets. Now I know they're losing tonight 2-0, but that team's been lighting it up. I mean, that's got to be.
They certainly beat the Flyers.
Well, they're right now. That team, they played the Devils. I think last Saturday I was watching them play, and I think the Devils had a 1-0 lead in the second period, and the Jets put 5 up on the board. I mean that team, that is a good hockey team, and they continue to surprise. And you know what? Right now, if you're looking at their record right now, let me just check their record because I had them down as a team to discuss tonight because they've been outstanding. The NHL standings right now, the Winnipeg Jets are they are 14-6-3 with 31 points. Now at the beginning of the season, if you would have said to me the Winnipeg Jets would be 8 games over 500, have 31 points, have 6 more points than the Chicago Blackhawks, be in second place, and basically are 4 points behind the Blues with a game in hand, I would have thought that you were absolutely smoking something.
Well, I told everyone the Golden Knights were going to be better than the Flyers after I saw who they got in the expansion draft, and everyone laughed at me.
I didn't, though. I didn't disagree with you at all about that. Now, if you told me that they were going to be in first place in the Pacific Division, have more points than the Kings, the Flames, the Sharks, the Canucks, or the Ducks, or the Oilers, I mean, that I wouldn't have believed at all. And especially the way the Kings got off to such a terrific start, and all of a sudden now the Kings are lagging at 13-8-3. You know, they were like 11-2 at one point, something like that. So
I couldn't tell you about the Canada West Coast hockey.
Well, no, I'm just making a point with those teams. But getting back to the Metro and the division that we love, there's going to be an interesting situation going on right now. You've got, in my opinion, the Blue Jackets, the Capitals, and the Penguins, in my opinion, are the three best teams in the division. Now, you can make an argument who's going to be first, second, and third. But then there's only going to be 2 teams out of 3 that make the playoffs, and you're looking at the Rangers, the Islanders, and the Devils. And
well, I hope the Rangers don't make
it. Maybe
and fall flat on their face.
Maybe the Bruins and Senators will get involved, but I don't know. The Senators have been a big disappointment. The Rangers are a team that's been very good at home. They have not really played a lot of road games. They're 3-5 on the road. We'll see what happens. They seem to have trouble scoring goals on the road. So we'll see where that ends up.
Well, they're better than the Flyers.
Well, yeah, a lot of teams are right now. The Flyers have struggled severely. As I said, though, if the Flyers are going to get going, tonight's the night to get it going. You beat the Penguins. You know, they don't have
not going to beat the Penguins.
Well, you know what? They don't have
Doesn't
Malkin.
matter. They're not going to win the game. I know they're up right now 2-1. They're not going to win.
Listen, the Penguins don't have Malkin. Matt Murray is not the same without Fleury to back him up.
Put a live bet on the Penguins right now, folks. Make yourself some money.
Well, the Flyers have had a habit of finding ways to lose. But if they can find a way to win this game, I think you
all right.
I think you absolutely have
Brad,
a
let's get
chance
back to
get
this
back.
GonzanoSports.com poll question of the night. Who's the second best team in the NFC? We got the Falcons coming up from the rear. Then you got 3 teams that are really
Very
deadlocked
good.
even. You got
Very
the
good.
Saints, the Rams, and
The Vikings. Okay. I like the Vikings because I think defense travels on the road in the playoffs.
The Rams have a good defense, though, too.
They do. I just don't trust them, though. You know, the Vikings put 24 up on them. I know it was in Minnesota, but they still put 24 up on them in Minnesota.
If you let up 24 in today's NFL, you should maybe win that game.
Maybe. But Minnesota, think about Minnesota, how good their defense is. And as I said before.
Right, and the Rams' defense isn't.
It's good. But in my opinion, defense travels in the playoffs. Offense does not necessarily travel in the playoffs.
Let me ask you this. What team do you think matches up the best with the Eagles? Is it still the Vikings? Is it the Rams because they can score maybe better than those teams?
The only problem with
the Saints can run the ball maybe as good as anybody in the league.
Let's see what the Saints do when they have to play. Now, listen, I know their defense has played well this year, but they're going to have 2 games with Atlanta. Okay, let's see how well.
That's a bad job of scheduling, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. But don't
you
they
gotta have
don't
can't
they have
you
another
stagger
game?
these games?
Don't they have another game with Carolina? I believe. I think they.
I'd
do.
have to look, but I mean, you shouldn't have to play 2 games against a division opponent in the last. What is there?
What, in
5 weeks left.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
just not. It's a poor job.
No, it is a bad job. It is a bad job. That should not happen. I mean, it really shouldn't. I mean, at this point, they should have already have played each other once. You know, with the rematch coming up now, they got 2 games towards the end of the season. But again, we're gonna see how good New Orleans defense is when they have to play. I mean, listen, their defense was not very good yesterday against the Rams. They're going to be playing Atlanta twice. Let's see how good New Orleans defense really is, especially when they have to play Atlanta in Atlanta. Okay, don't give up 30 points that game. Let's see you hold them to like 20 to 25 points.
To me, I don't think the Eagles are going to have too much of a problem with the Saints if they have to play them. The book is out on a 38, 39-year-old Drew Brees. He is, according to Pro Football Focus, he is a bottom 5 quarterback against the blitz, against pressure. The Eagles pressure the quarterback better than anybody in the league.
That's true, but the Saints have a pretty good offensive line too. So I wouldn't put that. And they also now they run the ball, so they're definitely a better balanced football team. But we'll see about that.
The Eagles don't let up rushing yards.
I still think, for my money right now, after watching Minnesota against Detroit, I think Minnesota is the team is the second best team in the NFC. They certainly
Case Keenum. It sounds weird to say, but Case Keenum might be better equipped to beat this Eagles defense than a Drew Brees, who's a Hall of Famer.
Well,
because he's terrible against the blitz.
But at this point of his career, though, Case Keenum can also move around better, and he's got a stronger arm. Now, he's not as accurate as Drew Brees, but you know what? Minnesota's receivers are pretty darn good. I mean,
Adam Thielen, what a find that is.
He's a good player, and you know what? Diggs is finally showing everybody what kind of a player he is. And they've completely redone their offensive line.
Fantastic. I mean, they lost – Dalvin Cook was looking like a tremendous talent. They haven't missed a beat. They have Jerick McKinnon, who can run the ball, and Latavius Murray, who had close to 100 yards and a touchdown on Thanksgiving.
Latavius Murray was a big pickup for them. I think the Raiders miss him. Because Lynch, you know what, Lynch.
Yeah, but Lynch is a cuckoo head.
That's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily think Lynch, even though he has some yardage, I just don't think that he makes the team better. I think that he's a disruptive influence on that team. You know, I just do. And Minnesota right now, to me, looks like a really dangerous team. They still have a real good tight end. I mean, they can move the ball around pretty well. And as I said, that defense.
Everything about their team on paper is elite except for the quarterback, who's playing elite right now.
Well, listen, if you watched how that quarterback played against Detroit.
He shredded him.
And Detroit was putting on pressure against him. I mean, Detroit has a good front four. You know, they were putting pressure on him. He was avoiding the rush and getting rid of the ball, and he was doing a real good job. And, you know, Detroit made their run, and you know what? They were able to run the ball and keep the ball basically away from Detroit. And you knew when Detroit got the ball late, they weren't going to score.
All right,
you just knew it.
We're through 3 quarters. Cavaliers go on a big run to end the third quarter, 85-73. So what's that?
That's a 12-point.
That's
lead.
a 12-point lead. It was just 3.
It's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. Now they put themselves.
LeBron James, 26 points in 29 minutes, 11 rebounds. He's up to 6 assists now. Triple-double watch will be on for him. Joel Embiid trying his best, 28.7 rebounds. No one really helping out Joel Embiid from a scoring standpoint tonight. The next highest would be J.J. Redick and Jared Bayless with 9 points apiece. So, I mean, Dario Saric where are you? Need to start making shots. I'm sorry, that's TJ McConnell with 9 points, not Jared Bayless. My apologies. But Jared Bayless, where are you? Ben Simmons, where are you? You need all hands on deck to beat the Cavs.
And by the way, Rob, Sean Couturier has just put in his 14th goal of the season.
Coots?
Just before the horn at 19:28.
Wow, so my live bet is
now,
not faring too well. Hopefully people didn't listen to me.
The Flyers now have a 3-1 lead on the Penguins. And
they'll still probably lose. Take it now. Do the live bet because they're down 3-1. You get better odds. Double down.
Listen, the Penguins are not the same team without Evgeny Malkin. I mean, I know Crosby is still great, but you know what? Without Malkin, it does make a difference. But good for the Flyers. You know what? They have to start playing everybody like they played the Penguins. I mean, I don't know what it is, but when they see the Penguins, they seem to play. They seem to go to another level, and they're going to have to do that if they want to get back in. Because that's a heck of a performance, and good for them.
Robert Krupp looks like he's checking in from Vegas. We here in Vegas too are in shock about the Golden Knights.
Yes, right. Yeah, Bob, I got to tell you, they've been outstanding, and I give.
Who's their coach, Brad?
Oh my God, who's the guy that used to be the coach for the Panthers? What is his name again? Oh my gosh, Gallant. I think it's Gerard Gallant is their coach, is he not?
That is correct, sir.
Thank you. And you know what? If you take a look, I didn't look that up.
That's all right.
It's in the old. No, it's okay though. It's in the old brain. I still listen. I know my hockey guy.
Coach of the year. I mean, hands down, right?
Well, it's either him or the guy in Winnipeg. I mean,
we're taking the Vegas guy.
Bob, I got to ask you a question. If you may, and you can respond. Who do you think is a bigger surprise between Vegas and the Winnipeg Jets? Because that, to me,
it's got to be Vegas. They're an expansion team.
But Winnipeg's been terrible for the last. I mean, they've been basically the Cleveland Browns of the NHL.
Golden Knights have everybody's.
Team.
It's like the Statue of Liberty. Give us your poor, give us your tired, give us your broken. That's who the Knights have. And they're putting it together, and they're in first place.
Yeah, but they're
in the West.
But I understand that, but it's a little bit better than that, though. They've got some good players on their team. I mean, they really do. I mean, Neil is a proven big-time goal scorer. They've got some guys out there who can play. But I think what's most impressive is their backup goalie, not their third or fourth string goalie, but their backup goalie is pretty daggone good. They were actually on when they went on that road trip and they went 1-4-2, they actually had, I believe, their fourth string goalie playing in that road trip because their first three guys got hurt. So I mean, it's been real impressive with them. I can't say enough about how George McPhee and Gerard Gallant have put that organization together. What a great job!
Who's the best team in the NHL right now?
Right now, I would have to say the Tampa Bay Lightning. From what I've seen, I know that
was your pick. That was your selection at the beginning of last hockey season.
Well, you know, it seems like whoever I pick, it's always a year later. If you remember last year, I also said Luis Severino would be a big-time pitcher.
You were a year late.
I was a year late for that one too. So sometimes my picks are a year late. But Tampa Bay is healthy this year, and if Steven Stamkos stays healthy, that team is going to be awfully tough to beat. Awfully tough. They are fast again. And it just seems like they were able to cure all their ills. Domestikov is still a fantastic player. Hedman is still an elite defenseman.
Kucherov is really good.
Kucherov is fantastic. I mean, they've got some real good players. And their goaltending situation, now that they got rid of Ben Bishop, it seems like their goaltending is now real strong.
How's he doing in Dallas, Ben Bishop?
Not very well.
Not very well.
Not very
so
well.
that's what I wanted the Flyers to do. I wanted them to trade for Ben Bishop and sign him.
He's making a lot of money too, and he's just not really playing well.
He'd fit right in on the Flyers.
Yeah. God, that would. You know what? That's one disaster. Thankfully for the Flyers' sake that they didn't get involved in, because that would have been just the straw that broke the camel's back if they would have gotten involved with him for a long time. Because he's making over $5 million a year.
Good thing I'm not a hockey GM then.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes when guys struggle, you know, sometimes a change of scenery is all that's needed. But sometimes when guys struggle, it's because they're just not good anymore, and he just may not be good anymore. Funny though, how when the Rangers got Eric Staal a couple of years ago for the playoffs, how horrible he was with the Rangers, Then he signs with Minnesota as a free agent, and he's back to being Eric Staal again. So sometimes it's, and he looked like he was
because who wants to play in New York? The people are rude.
He was playing
Their jerseys are ugly.
He was playing with his brother, though. You would have thought that
they probably hate each other.
Maybe. You know what? Come to think of it, I believe Eric gave Mark a concussion back in 2012.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're right.
Doesn't always work out.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, that was crazy. That could be true. But that's right now, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen right now, I think Tampa Bay is the best team in hockey. But, again, it's a long way to go. Trades can still be made, obviously. The Pittsburgh Penguins, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins lost a lot in the offseason this year. I do not, for one, think that they're going to repeat. I think not having Fleury as the security blanket for Matt Murray, I think that's going to come back and haunt them. I could see them losing in the second round very easily. I could see them losing in the first round. I mean, I think that team, they played a lot of hockey over the last 2 years. It might finally catch up with them this year. It's hard to win 3 years in a row.
It's getting worse in South Philadelphia, Brad. It's up to a 14-point lead for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, you know what? The thing with a team like Cleveland is when the game, when it gets late, teams like Cleveland ratchet up the defensive intensity, and
But look at the scoring distribution for the Sixers. It's 28 for Embiid. Simmons is up to 10, so he's made a couple buckets. Then McConnell's your third guy. I mean, Robert Covington has 2 points in 22 minutes.
Embiid cannot beat the Cavaliers by himself.
Nobody can.
No. And that's the whole.
The only person in the league that can beat a team by himself is LeBron James.
Well, and Curry, when he gets hot from three, he can do
Not
it.
LeBron.
No, he's no. I'm not saying he is LeBron, but let's be honest. He could drill 3 or 4.
He'd be so much more of a productive player if he just kept his mouthpiece in his mouth the entire game.
Oh, I just can't.
And didn't have to
him.
worry
He's
about that.
You know what? He's such a mutt. I can't stand.
I
can't
can't stand Stephen Curry.
Yeah,
I can't stand him. Just
Yeah,
keep your mouthpiece in. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and you know what? And shut up and stop barking at the referees and crying every time they call.
He
a foul.
throws it. When things don't go away. He throws it.
I've seen what he does. I hate his act with the crying every time there's a foul. And Draymond Green is another one. Every time somebody calls a foul on him, he goes berserk.
Can't stand the Warriors.
I
hate them so much.
You know what, though? At the end of this season, I think you're going to see some of the Thompson can't possibly stay there, can he? Can they have a $170 million payroll?
Well, Kevin Durant is soft and just takes less money so he can stay on a winner and not be a leader because he's scared and soft. That's why he left Oklahoma City. That's why he didn't want to go home to Washington. That's why he didn't want to go to the East because he's scared of LeBron. Kevin Durant is
well, he's whatever.
He's soft.
Yeah, he's not a guy that wants to go out there and try to prove that he can knock off somebody.
Because he can't.
No, if he was playing back in the 90s, he would have been golfing with Michael Jordan all the time, begging Michael Jordan to get him to take him and put him on that team, so that he wouldn't have to.
You're exactly right.
That is the kind of guy. That's the kind of guy Kevin Durant is. I mean, he's kind of the little weasel type that doesn't want to be the one that has to stand up and be the leader, even though talent-wise he's
incredible.
Yeah, he could do it. I mean, he's got the talent to do it. I mean, what he should have done.
So he's mentally soft enough to take even less money than he takes now, which is still a lot of money. Let's not be real about it. So they can sign Thompson and Draymond Green and keep that crew together.
There's no
way. But it doesn't matter because LeBron's coming to Philadelphia. The process will be complete, and they'll make the Warriors look like a JV squad.
The only thing I would say, and you know what, that to me definitely makes sense, and it might happen. The only thing is it just seems to me like LeBron wants to be in L.A., but L.A. doesn't have the team that the Sixers have. And the Sixers have so much salary cap space available. That's the beauty for them. I mean, they're set up real nice.
We'll see what LeBron does.
But you know what? It would be nice to see somebody knock the Celtics on their butts because I just can't.
I hate the Celtics, too.
The city of Boston.
Let's take a break, though, Brad. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Sports Hounds. Right after this, talking college football. Who's in, who's out after this?
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2D Radio, we're the Sports Hounds, Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer. Our producer, Frank Vesby, going to join us for this segment, try and sort out the college football playoff, who's going to be in, who's going to be out. Conference championship Saturday upon us.
We've got some beauties this week, don't we?
I don't even know where to start because it's just such a mess this year, which I love.
Well, why don't we start?
Well, without the
with-
mess, you gotta have a lot of controversy. So it's going to be very interesting this weekend in terms of the playoffs.
Let's start in the big bad SEC.
I agree. Let's start with
right.
Georgia and
We
Auburn.
had Georgia and Auburn. I think Georgia wins this football game. I think they go to the playoff.
I would disagree with you. I think Auburn wins the game. My only concern about Auburn is the running back.
Kerryon Johnson,
Yes.
He's a beast.
he is a beast.
Is he going to play?
He is still listed as questionable, but they are expecting him to play in that game. We won't find out probably at least 24 hours before kickoff.
Okay.
So
I mean,
that is going to
he
be the big
is-
storyline going into
he
that
is-
game.
Auburn whooped Georgia last time, and they really barked their mouth a lot
They did.
afterwards. And I think Georgia's going to remember that. I think Kirby Smart's a good coach. Nick Chubb and Sony Michel are good a running back tandem as there is in the country.
But the dominance at the line of scrimmage, though, Rob, how does Georgia change that? 'Cause-
They got to play better. Not as bad as they played against Auburn the first
Yeah.
No,
time.
I understand that, but they were beat. They were beat up. They were pushed around in that game. I mean, from the line of scrimmage, both ends of the ball, they were pushed around. How do you change that?
You play better. They have the talent. It's Georgia. They've been a top 4 team all year.
I understand that, but sometimes that's something that that's hard to change, and that's the line of scrimmage. That's all I'm saying. I just wonder. I just wonder if maybe the offensive line and the defensive line, maybe Georgia's offensive line is not good enough to block Auburn's defensive line, and vice versa. That could be it.
All right, so let's go to the ACC then, because Clemson, Miami. I think the winner of that gets into the playoff.
Absolutely, hands down.
And the loser does not.
I would agree with
100% agree with that.
And I think Clemson is going to win that football game.
I think Clemson's
They're
gonna-
9.5-point favorites. I think they have more talent. I think they have a better quarterback. I think they have a better coach.
Yeah,
I think they're going to wax them.
The line indicates that, but I don't know if they're going to wax them.
I'm not going to guarantee a waxing per se, but I am going to
Miami,
look at.
Where
I
is
do
the
like.
game? Where's the game being played?
It would be in Charlotte, so over at Bank of America Stadium.
Okay.
If I'm 100, I know they were rumored to move it elsewhere, but let me
well,
100%.
that's basically Clemson's backyard.
Basically about a couple, at least about
Yeah,
100 miles away.
They'll have alumni there. I mean, it's a neutral field. It'll be fun.
They will.
Right.
They will. But you know what?
So we're 3
Miami-
for 3. We're 3 for 3 in agreement there. The Clemson is going to win the ACC
It's going to be
championship
close.
Yeah.
It'll be
and,
close.
And they will
be
be
in the playoff.
They will be in the playoff.
It'll be a guaranteed lock in the playoff. I know with Miami's surprising upset by a 4-7 Pittsburgh. I mean, Clemson basically punched their ticket into the playoffs. So I think Clemson's going to get the win.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think they
and
win
we go to the Big 12. Neutral field this time.
Neutral
Oklahoma, I think they beat TCU.
I think no doubt about it. Oklahoma did defeat TCU the first time around. I mean, it was a great matchup, but I got Oklahoma beating TCU in Arlington.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see.
And
TCU
then you go to the
winning that
Big
game.
10 because Wisconsin catches a lot of heat because the most notable win they have, albeit they have no losses, is Northwestern.
Yeah.
Yeah, Northwestern
Does
was the
an
only
undefeated Big
team.
10 champion in Wisconsin get in over a one-loss Alabama team that didn't even reach their conference championship?
Right. I mean, you saw this controversy last year when Penn State they won the Big Ten.
Little different though because Penn
It is
State
different.
lost to Pitt.
They did lose to Pitt.
If Wisconsin is
true.
undefeated and they beat Ohio State, they're in.
Yeah, you have to put them
Are
in
they
over.
though? I think they're going to get screwed. They're going to put Bama in.
You have to put Wisconsin in.
You have to
No
put 'em in.
doubt.
If they
You
beat-
have to put
if
them
I
in.
don't think you have to put Wisconsin in.
I don't think that they're beating
Frank,
Ohio
Brad.
State. So I mean,
I
it's
think
gonna be a moot
Wisconsin
point.
does beat Ohio State. I'm rooting for them to beat Ohio State. Number one, I don't like Ohio State.
I absolutely despise Ohio State.
Does anybody?
yeah.
But let's look at it. Let's look at it logically. If Alabama played Wisconsin on a neutral field,
Alabama
This
beat 'em-
Saturday.
they beat them by 40
Right.
points.
So how can you say Wisconsin is a lock to get in as the Big Ten champion over Alabama, who's a better team?
Because Alabama lost to Auburn.
They
Auburn-
are gonna factor in the Auburn loss, but then you also have. I mean, everybody has to factor that they did not win their division. That is another thing. It's like I know
it's
people are
also
gonna
a
give
better
slack
division.
saying it's like, oh, you don't win your division, you don't go to the playoff. I mean, it's.
I don't see how
gonna
you
be
put
bad.
Wisconsin in over Alabama.
Well, I think Alabama's a better team.
I mean,
Isn't that the point? Didn't they
Right.
didn't
would
they
agree
prove
with you.
leaving Penn State out that conference championships mean nothing? I believe TCU won their conference outright last year and were not considered for the playoff.
I think they were. I think they were co-champions last year. TCU. Let's
Let me ask you
verify
this:
that.
if TCU happens to beat Oklahoma, which I don't think is going to happen,
It could.
but if they beat Oklahoma, are they a playoff team? Where they're ranked number 10?
Well, that would be Oklahoma's
Second loss.
only their second,
I think it's their second.
and they're 1-1. That's tough because I'm still putting a one-loss Alabama team in over a Big 12 champion TCU. If Alabama played TCU on a neutral field this Saturday, Alabama would wipe the floor with them.
I agree with
It's
you.
about the 4 best teams.
Well, if you're going by the 4 best teams, really, I mean, and let's be honest, okay? The 4 best teams right now, to me, are Georgia. Now, this is not necessarily in any specific order, okay? Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, and Auburn are the 4 best teams in the country right now.
So you think 3 of the 4 best teams – you didn't say Oklahoma there, which is wrong.
Well, let's see what Oklahoma – well, I forgot about Oklahoma. Okay.
There's no way
forgot
3 of the
about that.
4 best teams are in the SEC.
Yeah, there's.
Well,
yeah.
one of those teams one of those teams has to lose. So
I mean,
Oklahoma
if you're
is-
stacking – like if you're doing like the Sports Hounds rankings tomorrow,
Okay,
like
let me just
right now,
All
you'd
right.
have to put – is Auburn the best team? I'd put Oklahoma 1, Clemson 2, Auburn 3, and 4th would be Alabama.
Yeah,
It's agreeable.
I agree with that.
That's not taking into factor what could happen Saturday and how.
Right.
See, it doesn't matter what the AP poll said Sunday, what the coaches
It doesn't
poll said
matter.
Sunday.
It
It
doesn't
matters
matter.
what they're going to say tomorrow
Yep.
and more importantly what they're going to say. What do they do it next Tuesday?
I believe it is. Let me.
Tuesday night it comes out.
Tuesday it
tomorrow
comes
night.
out.
Tomorrow night it's going to come out.
Right.
But for the final poll, I believe is going to be around.
I think we were on the air last year on Sunday morning when the
It was
official
the
rankings came
Yeah,
out.
it was the Sunday of. So December 3rd will be the final rankings. So that all depends on that final ranking. It all depends on what's going to happen on Saturday. So.
But if my only point being is if the point of the college football playoff is to have the 4 best teams compete for a national championship, how can you not have Alabama in that mix?
It's going to be tough. To
And
do
I
that.
get
it's too tough. I mean,
Right now.
Are we in agreement
The
that
data
if
is incomplete.
Alabama played TCU on Saturday, that Alabama would win?
Alabama would win.
They would win.
They
if
would
Alabama played Wisconsin on Saturday,
They
they
would
would
win.
win.
They would win.
Now, what if Ohio State beats Wisconsin as a 2-loss team? Are you telling me you're putting in a 2-loss Ohio State team, a team that
I'm
let
not-
up 55 points
No
to an
way.
Iowa
I'm
team
not going to put
in
Ohio
over
State
Alabama?
in. I am
No.
not putting them in.
No way. That is
No
not
way.
Ohio
happening.
State's beaten Penn State. They lost a heartbreaker to Oklahoma, which kudos to them for actually scheduling like big boys, unlike some of these other teams that
Yeah.
just want to coast through.
Even if I'm looking at some of the scenarios right now. Even if Ohio State does win the conference, they have.
They're not going.
There's no chance they're going to get in.
They're not going. They gave up 55 points
Yeah.
to
You get-
unranked Iowa
absolutely.
Hawkeyes. Come on. No
So-
way.
All 3 of us are in agreement that Alabama is a better football team than Ohio State, Wisconsin, and TCU.
Yes.
Yes.
So
But you're still making the claim that an undefeated Big Ten champion in Wisconsin gets into the playoff over Alabama. I can't get
Yeah,
on. I
I
can't
can't-
get
yeah,
on
I
board
can't.
with that.
Yeah, I can't necessarily agree with that either.
Yeah.
Wisconsin just didn't play anybody.
There's just a lot of flaws I mean, I like the idea of the playoff, but picking the 4 best teams, that's where I'm not sold on the whole playoff system. I mean, if it was 8 teams, that'll be okay. If it was 6 teams, we could throw Wisconsin in there.
If you make it 8 teams, then why can't it be 10 teams? Then it's 10 teams. Then it's 16 teams.
My crazy idea. I've suggested this to a bunch of colleagues. I've suggested everywhere. It's like 24 teams. That's where it needs to be. I think it should be 24 only.
I mean, they do it in D2 and D3.
Yeah, and in the FCS, yeah.
Correct.
They're just worried about these guys playing too many games and getting hurt. I mean, that's the problem.
Especially when they don't pay them. But I think that's an argument for another day.
I agree.
Who has a better resume, a 2-loss Miami team or a 2-loss TCU team or a 2-loss Ohio State team?
Well, 2-loss Ohio State team has a better resume.
Yeah, the Ohio State team has the resume.
They have the resume because of the schedule.
So Miami's done if they lose.
Miami's done. Yeah.
Miami's done anyway. Let's be
if
honest.
they beat Clemson,
if they beat Clemson,
they're not beating Clemson.
If they beat Clemson, well, their odds do shoot up, but they have to wait for Georgia would have to lose, and Oklahoma might have to lose.
Miami is not beating Clemson, so you've got nothing to worry about there. That is.
I tend to agree with you, but we've seen stranger things happen.
I understand that, but that's not going to happen. No way. Unless the game was in Miami.
Yeah.
If the game was in Miami, yes. But not when it's on a neutral field. And to be honest with you, that's more of a home field for Clemson than it is Miami.
Does Oklahoma still get in if they lose to TCU?
No.
I think they do.
With 2 losses?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I guess it would depend but how many SEC teams are you going to put in?
You have to put in 1 at least.
Correct.
But it's like
I think 2 are going to make it because Alabama should be the 4th
2 can make it, but looking at the situation, you have to put in 1. I mean, it's
absolutely 100% agree with you. SEC is guaranteed a bid.
It's a guaranteed bid.
I think the ACC is guaranteed a bid, and I think Oklahoma is guaranteed a bid.
I mean, we have 3 of the conferences locked, and I
think Oklahoma gets. I think Oklahoma is still one of the 4 best teams in the country, even with a loss to TCU. They've already beaten TCU.
Yeah, but if they lose this game, that's 2 losses for them too.
2 losses is not 3 losses.
No, I understand that, but who are their signature wins against?
Well,
Ohio State, right?
Who are you going to put in? A 2-loss Oklahoma or a 2-loss Miami?
Oklahoma.
And then you get and then you get the argument from TCU that they're the Big 12 champion with a neutral field victory over Oklahoma.
And they have 1 loss.
And they have 1 loss. Is that right? 1 loss for TCU?
It is 2 losses.
They have 2 losses. Okay.
1 to Oklahoma and the other 2 Iowa State.
That's a bad loss.
It's a bad loss.
Oklahoma lost to Iowa State too.
Yeah.
No, Oklahoma didn't lose to Iowa State.
They did.
They did.
That's their only one though.
That's the only loss.
Okay.
Was to Iowa State.
Oklahoma's in. Regardless of what happens Saturday. They are. Even if they lose Saturday, you can't tell me that they're not one of the 4 best teams in the country.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this.
You have a great quarterback, a great running back, a great coach.
Georgia and Auburn, would you agree that whoever wins that game is in?
Yes.
Okay. Clemson wins, they're in.
And I think the loser of that is definitely out in the SEC.
This is what I think.
If Georgia loses to Auburn twice, you can't.
No,
they can't sneak in anyhow.
You can't.
If Clemson wins, okay. If Ohio State wins, Clemson wins, okay.
You can't. I don't care.
No, this is how Alabama gets in, okay. If
Alabama's in anyway.
If Clemson wins, Auburn wins. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, if Auburn wins,
if
Oklahoma wins, they're in. They're going to be.
If Oklahoma loses, they're out, Rob. I don't agree. I don't agree. They already have a win at hand over TCU, so they would have a split with TCU, a win at Ohio State, And
that win against Ohio State
on
should
the
be
road,
enough. Yeah, that should be enough
that
to put them in.
Oklahoma is in. Saturday, whether they lose or not Saturday, Oklahoma is in. I think Alabama's in. Alabama is slotted in at the 4 seed, in my opinion.
Alabama should
because you can't. If the point of the exercise is to get the 4 best teams, you can't tell me Alabama's not one of the 4 best teams in the country. I mean, give me a break.
I
Come
think
on.
Alabama right now should be ranked number 5.
And that's fine for now.
Five.
For right now.
Yeah,
For right
I
now.
believe Alabama should be number 5 in the upcoming.
That
polls.
would be if
That
if I
would
was
make the
ranking
most
them.
sense.
So you got the
I would have them number 5, and and basically if Auburn loses to Georgia, then Alabama moves up to 4. And I don't know that Georgia's in.
no.
No.
The winner of the SEC championship is in.
Yeah, they
winner
have
winner goes in.
Okay, they have to be in. So Georgia,
Yeah.
so it'd be Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, and Oklahoma.
Out of Georgia and Auburn, one of those teams is going to get in, plus
Yeah.
Alabama. There's going to be 2 from the SEC.
Okay, that's
Oklahoma's in.
fair enough. Oklahoma's in, and
John Burke, a non-conference winner, question mark. Yes, a non-conference winner. The committee has set the precedent that conference championships don't mean anything. They don't matter. It's the 4 best teams. If that means that the top 4 teams of the SEC West are the 4 best teams in the country, that's who's going to be in the college football playoff. It's the 4 best teams. Conference championships don't mean anything. They told that to Penn State last year. They told that to TCU last year. It's just the way it is. Oklahoma is in no matter what. Out of Auburn, Georgia, the winner will get in. The loser
Yeah.
will go home.
right.
The ACC winner will be in.
In or home.
In or home.
Yeah.
And then the 4th team is Alabama. And then
Yeah, you know
how
what?
are you gonna
That's how it should
how you stack them
be. 1 through 4.
1 through 4? I mean,
Right.
They're all
that's
great.
They're all good programs.
They're all really good teams. And you know
like,
what,
honestly, you
however they
could
stack
throw them all in a hat and pick
Yeah,
them out,
but
and that's
pretty
how you
much.
could do the seeding.
And I guess I
Yeah,
guess
and
that's
it'll-
how the committee has done for the past few years.
You put a rematch. You get a rematch of the Iron Bowl in the first round of the playoff.
No, I think you don't
I don't
play.
How
think
cool
they
would
want-
that be?
I don't think
No.
people
Why?
want
Why
that.
wouldn't you want that?
Well, I mean, look at the BCS title game from like 09 when we
Oh,
saw Alabama
09.
LSU. Like
totally
no,
different teams.
Yeah, I
Those
know they're totally
offenses
different
stunk.
teams, and I know that there were
But you
two.
had a replay. It was a replay of the game that was, I think, 6-3 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it was the game that went
Or-
6-3, and nobody wants to see a rematch, especially an interconference rematch.
I'll tell you what, Alabama and Auburn, I wouldn't mind seeing them play again.
I-
That would be
don't
one
know.
heck of a game.
It'd be chippy.
It'll be chippy,
That'd be
but
chippy.
I don't think I would watch it.
Well, let me
though.
ask you a question.
You wouldn't watch
I
it.
would
What do
not
you
watch
mean
it.
you wouldn't watch it?
If
You wouldn't watch a
Alabama-
rematch of the Iron Bowl in the first round of the college football playoff? Are you out of your mind?
Let
Are
me
you a
ask you
college
this.
football fan?
If
Are you a
Alabama,
sports fan? Are you a competition fan?
If Alabama,
You wouldn't
played-
watch it? That's the coldest take in the world.
If they
Frank.
played that
I
game
know,
in-
I know it's a cold take, but you know, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of like college football championships decided by means of a rematch, especially
But you know what?
an early.
If they
an
played that
earlier
game in
matchup.
Tuscaloosa, who do you think would have won?
In Tuscaloosa, Auburn,
Alabama would have beat them.
Alabama
At
would
home?
at
Alabama
home.
would beat 'em.
Alabama would have gotten the win.
Okay, so there you go. I mean,
it
Auburn
would
got
have been
the
a
win.
toss-up either way, depending on where that venue is. But I mean, Alabama has
neutral-
the case of the injury bug, and that's what and it's catching up to them. So, I mean,
So, John Burke, if you're still listening, Oklahoma's out if they lose. So, if Oklahoma loses, you're telling me I can't buy a scenario where Oklahoma is not one of the 4 best teams in the country. I'm not buying it. It's a fraud playoff if Oklahoma's not in. It's a fraud playoff if Alabama's not in.
I think you're right.
Let's play the same game.
All right.
Who wins on a neutral field, Oklahoma or Miami?
Oklahoma.
Who wins on a neutral? It already happened. It wasn't a neutral field, but Oklahoma already went into Ohio State and won that game.
Yeah, on a neutral field. That's right.
Oklahoma or Wisconsin.
Or
Who
wait,
went-
or maybe it was it was in Columbus. If I'm correct.
it was a true road game for
That's right,
Oklahoma.
it
It was
was.
in Columbus.
That's
It was
right.
in Columbus. That was in
Yeah.
Ohio State.
And
That's
then
right. I forgot about that.
Oklahoma. That's a huge win.
Huge win for that program.
That's a huge win for their college football playoff resume. And then Oklahoma, double-digit favorites over Wisconsin on neutral field. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So all these contenders,
Listen,
we just laid off the fringe teams. If Oklahoma lost,
the Big
somehow
Ten does not deserve to have a team represent.
not the way the season's played out. I 100% agree with you.
They're not good enough. None of those teams are good enough to be in the top 4.
And then to Wisconsin, stop scheduling Utah State in your opener.
Yeah, if you
If you want to be seriously considered, and if Alabama doesn't get in this playoff, which would be
that would be a travesty.
It would be a travesty. Don't play Mercer for your homecoming in week 10?
Week 10.
Oh, we made that. I made that abundantly clear. What a stupid thing that is to do. Play
I understand, and I understand why they did it. And if that's the way they want to schedule their homecoming, that's fine.
Play USC or one of those teams, or Stanford or one of those teams. If you don't want to play
you don't have to go that high on homecoming. Because
Yeah.
I get homecoming; it's a big deal, and you want to win. But
all right, how about
Texas A&M or Missouri or Arkansas?
How about a team like Northwestern, like a middle of the road team, like a top 25 team? Why not play a team
that's up to
actually
them.
Gonna matter?
Yeah.
Don't play Mercer.
No, or Louisiana Lafayette or any of those schools that are just in it for a paycheck.
Clemson played the Citadel.
Well, that's another example.
Auburn played someone bad too.
Yeah, I know they did. I think they're the ones that played Louisiana Monroe.
They did play Monroe, yeah.
I mean, come on.
So that's my playoff. My playoff is Georgia / Auburn winner, Clemson, Miami, winner gets in, loser goes home. Oklahoma and Alabama are in regardless.
Yeah,
regardless of what happens this weekend, Oklahoma and Alabama are in the playoffs.
And I don't feel sorry for Wisconsin. As I said, they should have played a team like maybe Notre Dame or USC or one of those teams at the beginning of the season. Don't be playing crappy teams.
When
you see that your schedule is not going to be very good,
and you take a look.
Shouldn't the light go on in somebody's
right? And they know their conference schedule is years in advance.
And their division has been. They haven't been on top in years. I mean, you're playing like Purdue and Nebraska, who's been having an off year. Minnesota, an off year.
Illinois stinks.
Illinois is awful. Imagine if Wisconsin play in the East, they would already have like 2 or 3 losses and they would be out of the playoff picture. But
you don't even know that. Listen, if Wisconsin played in Ann Arbor, I don't think that in the Big House they wouldn't have beaten Michigan.
Right.
So that's.
They might have. Michigan wasn't very good this year.
No, that's true.
They showed up against Ohio State.
What about against Michigan State? They probably wouldn't beat Michigan State either.
Did they play Michigan State?
On Wisconsin's schedule,
no,
let's find
they
it.
did not play Michigan
They
State.
did not.
They played Michigan.
Let's see.
Wisconsin played Michigan.
Is that the only team they played from? I know they played Maryland from the East.
The team from the East was
Indiana.
So they played Indiana,
and
they
Maryland.
played Maryland, and they played Michigan.
Yeah.
What a joke.
That's not their fault, though. But because
it is their fault.
It is their fault in the sense they've known that for years in advance and didn't schedule up. They scheduled Utah State.
The garbage games like Utah State and Florida Atlantic, they've been planned in advance.
How about playing? Rutgers goes and plays Washington.
Yeah, but Rutgers doing that for a check.
But I'm just saying. But why don't they do that? Why doesn't Wisconsin go out and play a good team, a team that they know is going to be in the top 25 for their resume? I mean, great, you're undefeated, but nobody cares if you're beating up on teams like on teams like Purdue. I mean, Purdue stinks, and so does Illinois. I mean, my God, Rutgers beat both those teams.
It's true.
And Rutgers beat Maryland, for crying out loud. I mean, these are the teams you're playing, and you want to be in a national championship game. I mean, come on. You see that you're playing these teams. Schedule a good game. I'm not saying you have to play against Alabama. Okay, I'm not saying that. But play a team that, play Notre Dame. Notre Dame is Notre Dame will play anybody. They'll play anybody anytime. They're an independent school. They'll play anybody who wants to play them. They're not competing with anybody except the country and trying to get in that way. And Notre Dame will play as many good teams as they can to try to help their resume.
113-91, the final in South Philadelphia. Sixers gave it the old college try, but couldn't get it done against the Cavs. But the 4 teams in the playoff are going to be, I'll seed them out. Number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Oklahoma. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Alabama.
Okay.
So then you have Clemson, Alabama in a title game rematch, and Oklahoma and Georgia. That's 2 pretty good games. I think everyone get behind that, and then we'll break it down from there to see who goes for the national championship.
By the way, Rob, what was it that you wanted? You wanted to make the bet that the
live bet.
The live bet on the Penguins and the Flyers.
Yeah, what's it, 3-3?
It would be 3-3 with 8 minutes and 10 seconds to go.
Because the Flyers are a joke.
I mean,
you hit the nail on the head.
Boy.
They find ways to lose games constantly.
That is just
constantly.
Awful job. That is an awful job. And the Canadiens continue to lead the Blue Jackets 2-1 in the third period, and the Panthers lead the Devils 3-2. So those are some scores.
Getting back to the playoff, though, before we take our last break, John Burke, if Oklahoma loses, they are out.
No.
I don't see it.
I don't know about that.
I don't see how.
Maybe not. I don't think they're going to lose, though. I think it's going to be a moot point.
I agree with that, but, I mean, TCU could win.
They could, but I kind of doubt it. I don't see that happening. Not in a big spot like that. I mean, I think Oklahoma. This might be Oklahoma's year. They're an awfully good team this year. They are.
I think they're going to win it. I think Oklahoma's going to win it all. They're the best quarterback.
Yeah. Well, that
goes a long way in the college game.
It does. I mean, you can't. There's no other way to slice it down. You're absolutely right about that.
But I mean, Wisconsin. Sorry. Just like Penn State last year. Sorry, don't lose to Pitt.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. By the way, I did want to make a comment about the one surprise team that I was talking about, the Winnipeg Jets, who were down 2-0 to the Minnesota Wild, have come back to tie up that game. Scheffler and Line, those 2 guys have become big-time players. But getting back to college, at this point, if everything I think is going to happen, Oklahoma number 1, Auburn number 2.
Okay.
Clemson number 3.
Okay.
And who am I forgetting? Alabama number 4.
So you two think Auburn is going to win the SEC championship. I have Georgia winning the SEC championship.
Yeah, I think as
that correct? Do you have that, Frank?
Let's see. I haven't made my picks yet for the 4.
That guy's name's Johnson, right?
Carryon Johnson, yeah.
Well, you're on Wednesday. You'll make your picks then, right?
Absolutely, but I mean, I'll give a little early prediction.
If he's playing, I think Auburn.
Yeah,
let's see. My
tease it, man.
Title game.
Be a pro. Make him listen Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll talk about it on Wednesday, because I know we were going to talk about it on Wednesday, but due to unfortunate circumstances, we couldn't do a show on Wednesday. So we'll tease it out. Hopefully we'll tease it out. So we'll
guys, just gonna
and I'll drop an article probably in a couple days as well.
I tried, but you're gonna have to listen on Wednesday to find out.
Yeah,
it's a cliffhanger.
There you go.
Let's take our last break, Frank.
All right.
All right. Sports Hounds, A2D Radio, Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer. We'll be back right after this.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Sports Hounds, A2D Radio, Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer. Final 20 minutes here brought to you by Gibson Mayer, Certified Accountants, gibsonmayer.com. Find out about all their services. Brad, a couple loose ends to tie up here in the NFL. There is a football game going on right now. Ravens lead the Houston Texans 14-7. I'm sure that's still in the first half.
I
Correct?
believe. I
Yep.
believe there's like 6 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Second quarter.
Ravens are running the ball on the Texans. That's bad news for the Texans.
That's terrible news for the Texans. Also, an alert I got on my phone in the break. Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree each suspended for the next 2 games for their antics in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
Jeez.
If I were Vance Joseph, I would send Aqib Talib home. He puts a personal grudge over the team. He hurts his team. I mean, they lose 21-14 yesterday. Who knows how that game changes with him in there? I mean, that's just being a bad teammate.
You know, and
That's just being a punk,
and I
trying to
thought-
rip some dude's chain off. Michael
And he
Crabtree.
successfully got the chain off.
Hey, Rob, you know, and I was complaining.
And Michael
about,
Crabtree, he's a punk too, but
He is. But, you know, I was complaining about Janoris Jenkins, but I think this guy might be worse.
well, it came out this week that Janoris Jenkins been dealing with an injury and might need surgery.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Well, you're
So
that
maybe-
checked out on your Giants, huh? Yeah, he's probably gonna get shut down.
No, I've been paying attention
now that
to
they're
that,
officially mathematically eliminated.
Well, they were unofficially mathematically eliminated after week 4.
I think it
but-
was Jason Lockenforia, whoever. I think he's CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I read it from him that he might be
I've
shut
been,
down
you know,
due
I've
to
been reading.
surgery.
I've been reading I read Bleacher Report for the Giants every day. They
Well,
were-
Bleacher Report. I mean, come on, you can do better than that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to because there was no mention of
Bleacher
there being
Report is the
issues.
CNN of the sports world.
Fake news.
It's all clickbait.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm not a
Well-
huge fan of Bleacher Report.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, they probably churn out some good stuff, but just some of that
But
stigma.
it's watered down.
It's
But you
watered
want-
down. biased fan stuff. So
you
it's
want-
like,
But
But you have to
yes,
have the
every
news.
once in a while, there's like, wow, that was a good
Yeah.
article. That was actually information and content that
Yeah.
I can.
but a lot,
chew on as a
a
sport
lot of the
fan.
articles were like fan-made slideshows, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That don't make any sense. It's just
Right.
watered down.
it's
it
like
takes
it's
away.
like it's like BuzzFeed.
It is like BuzzFeed.
It's BuzzFeed with sports.
It's not accurate information sometimes.
Yeah.
I would agree, but you know what? I didn't see anything on that. And you know what? Bleacher Report, shame on you for not mentioning that, because I was not even aware of that. Some baseball news, if anybody cares. Josh Edgen from the formerly of the New York Mets, is now going to be signing with the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Can we
who
laugh?
Cares? Who
Can
cares?
we laugh?
Well, the winter meetings are going to get cooking here.
Yeah.
Doug Fister, formerly of the Boston Red Sox, is now with the Texas Rangers.
Who
Are
cares?
we,
Woohoo!
are we gonna make
Jeez.
Are we gonna laugh at that or not? 'Cause it's right
Wow.
now.
Did
right now, this is-
Giancarlo Stanton get traded?
Giancarlo Stanton right now seems to want to be traded to the Dodgers, and
jeez.
it sounds like he's trying to box Derek Jeter into a corner. And
He clearly does not want to be in Miami.
no, at this
I
point,
don't think anybody wants to be a Miami.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if Giancarlo Stanton was with the Marlins until the trade deadline. That may not get done until then, because you know what? If he's going to sit there and try to lay the hammer on the Marlins about where to
Well,
go,
he claims he won't accept the trade to the Red Sox or the Cardinals,
right?
which I hate Boston, so I feel him on that one.
Never
the-
said anything about the Yankees, but I don't
The
know. if
Cardinals,
Yankees
I don't know
really care.
why you wouldn't want to go there. It seems like a great place to play baseball.
Everybody always likes playing for the Cardinals. So what's
I don't know. You have to ask Giancarlo Stanton. Maybe we'll get him on the show next
Yeah.
week and ask him.
Yeah, I don't know that he's gonna.
Maybe
Let
not,
us
but
know,
I
but-
mean, worst he can say is no.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really get he wants to play in.
He wants to play for the Dodgers.
For
I
the
think
Dodgers,
that's
yeah.
pretty obvious, but
he does. He does. But you know,
and the Dodgers seem to they always have prospects, so they could get him if they want.
yeah, but they're also going to have to spend another $25 million this year, and then that contract.
That's
goes,
not necessarily true. If you match up the salaries a little bit and make them
Well,
take
then why
some,
would why? Yeah, but the whole purpose of
they
the
can
Marlins-
trade Giancarlo Stanton, take on some money, and still shed payroll.
Oh, the Dodgers, you're saying?
No, the Marlins.
They're not going to take any payroll with this. They wanted their whole purpose of trading Stanton is to get rid of the money. Now,
Well,
from-
then they might be stuck with him.
they might be. That seems to be the prevailing thought. Christian Yelich, I know, and Ozuna have been discussed.
Well, Ozuna's making no money.
Well, he's gonna
Yelich
be
is making
he's
some
gonna
money.
he's going to be making 10 next year.
That's
in
nothing. That's
arbitration.
nothing
No,
for
I-
an all-star center fielder.
For you, for a big market team, it's nothing. But for them, it might be. They might consider that a lot. You know, if they got rid of Stanton, if they got rid of Ozuna, Gordon, and Yelich, they would be able to keep Stanton.
Well, then Stanton might not show up.
Well, then but they can afford him though. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Rob, you know.
they'll win what, 10 games?
Yeah, they would.
They have no pitching, then they trade everyone but Stanton. That makes no sense.
Well, I'm just that would be. Basically this coming.
It's a
season-
no-brainer for the Yankees.
This coming season.
It's a no-brainer for the Yankees.
Yeah, but the Yankees. Well, they could actually sign him and stay under the cap. They actually could do that. The question is right now, do they?
Why don't you give him Gardner and a bunch of prospects?
Why would they want to take back $13 million worth of salary? Though?
Because it's not 213. It's not, or 313.
Well, it's 13. Yeah, that's true. It's only 13 this year because he's a free agent after this season, Gardner. So they do have the prospects to get him. I mean, the Yankees could get them if that's what they want to do. Right now, their
if you're the
payroll-
Yankees, you sign Ohtani, and you trade for Giancarlo Stanton.
and you don't worry about
and you're
Sabathia.
set.
And you don't worry about
No,
Sabathia.
Sabathia, you forget about him.
Let him go.
Because then you go with Severino as the opening day starter. Then you have Tanaka, 2 or 3, which he is.
Which is about right. Yeah.
And then you have Ohtani, who I think is going to be a star in the major leagues.
He will be the number 3.
And then you fill it out with
Sonny Gray at number 4.
And you have Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray is fine for a number 4
And
starter.
then you have Judge.
Montgomery is the number 5, who's not bad.
And you have the middle of the order. That's Judge, Sanchez, and Stanton.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that would be.
Hello.
Yeah, that would be a real good team.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for the.
Team. What do you think the Marlins would want in return? I guess you have to start with Gleyber Torres.
Cool.
You have to start with him.
Great.
You probably would
Send
have
him.
And you probably have to give him either Adams or probably Adams and maybe Justice Sheffield or Dylan Tate.
Send all 3.
That's a lot of young talent, though.
Do you understand Giancarlo Stanton?
59 home runs, yeah, and probably more in Yankee Stadium.
He might break Barry Bonds' roided out.
Giancarlo Stanton also hits the ball to right field, I believe. Does he not? Or is all his home runs to left field?
He hits the ball out to wherever he wants.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Does whatever. He's probably the best pure power hitter in the game.
He does.
And if he's not, the other best pure power hitter in the game is going to play right field.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with Stanton is, I mean, I watch Judge, and I see Judge take literally half swings and be fooled on pitches that he hits to right field. And
Judge is also.
They go out of Yankee Stadium, so I would imagine.
I mean, Judge is going to get better. Judge is not going to strike out 200 times a year for his whole career.
No, but that was his rookie year. I mean, he's going to make adjustments. He's going to get better. He's only 25 years old.
He won the AL MVP.
He should have.
He did.
He was.
As much as people don't want to admit it.
Yeah, he was the MVP.
Was.
Let's be honest. Without Altuve, Houston's winning the American League West.
Probably.
Are the Yankees even getting a sniff of the playoffs without Aaron Judge? No freaking way.
But then you have a team, if you add Stanton and Ohtani.
Yeah, Ohtani is the left-handed hitter
then
they need for the middle of the line.
Prohibitive favorites. Because then you don't have to get in a bidding war with Bryce Harper.
No, you don't even have to pay Bryce Harper. And then the following season,
which you're saving money off the luxury tax there, because Bryce Harper is going to sign for way more than $313 million when he's a free agent.
Well, now Stanton you only have to pay $290 million. It's not even more than that. And then the following season, the Yankees can go out and get 25-year-old Manny Machado to play third base.
Yeah, but now you're always worried about the luxury tax, and you're going to sign Machado.
But this year they're going to be under the luxury tax. It's okay to go over it next year. You got to get under it this year, so you don't have to keep paying guys 1.5 to 2 times as much as you should be paying them. That's the whole point. If the Yankees get under the luxury tax, then they can sign free agents again. The reason they've been so quiet with signing free agents is because they've been having to pay 1.5 to 1 3/4 the salary. So if you're paying a guy $10 million, you're really paying him $17 million. I mean, even the Yankees can't do that.
No, they can.
They can, but it's not good business. You do want to make money. I mean, that is part of the equation.
The Yankees are right there.
They are right there.
Went to the ALCS last year. You're going to let $7 million getting in the way of a World Series championship? That's foolish.
Oh, no, they won't let
Especially when they're Yankees.
They won't. They won't. But if you're talking about $100 million, if you're going to add $100 million to the payroll, okay, if it's 100.
Well, you're the one always talking about the luxury tax, and now you're just having signing Machado and getting Stanton.
Wait. Right now, their payroll right now is $153 million. So if you add Stanton this year, it's $178 million because he's on the hook. You're on the hook for $25 million this year, so that makes it $178 million. If you add Ohtani, that's another $5 million. So that's $183. So they still have $14 million to play with if they want to. If they decide to go out and try to bring in another pitcher to have another pitcher just in case, or add to the bullpen. And there's always the chance that they trade Dylan Betances too, because they seem to be the Yankee management and Dylan Betances, they hate each other. So that's always a chance that he could go too. So what are we hearing about the Phillies? I mean, are they going to make any moves this winter?
Nothing. They're a bunch of morons. I've already laid out my plan. Brett, it's not this hard to build a baseball team.
No, it's really not.
You build defensively strong up the middle, and you have boppers on the corners. You get a starting rotation that eats innings, and you get a lights-out bullpen.
Well, I'll tell you what, boy, would it if
I've
I were
already
the
laid out
Phillies,
my plan because the Phillies have all the money in the world to spend.
Kane and Moustakas would look awfully good on that team.
No,
No,
I
You
don't want
think so?
no, because you have to figure out third base if Franco or it's going to be Crawford. I'm out on Moustakas.
You don't like Moustakas?
It's not that I don't like it. I just don't think it makes sense
36
for the
million,
Phillies.
though. I mean, 36 million. He had 36 home runs last year.
That's
And Kansas
fantastic.
City-
That's
but
great for
Kansas
him.
City, but Kansas City's a tough place to hit home runs too.
Understood.
I mean, he's a good
He
player.
had a great season. I definitely see him being one of those bust-out players in his contract year and then signing a big contract and taking a step back.
What about a guy like Carlos Santana?
It's like doesn't do anything for me as a fan.
No?
It doesn't excite me at all.
He's going to hit 30 home runs wherever he goes.
That's great. You give Eric Hosmer a blank check,
He's younger, but he's never shown the kind of.
but
power
he's
that-
he's
He's younger.
yeah, but he has leadership. He runs the bases. He fields. He does
Fiery.
everything. He's a 4.5 tool player.
And he's a fiery player, which is.
I
you
love Eric
guys
Hosmer.
Like that.
Pay him whatever. 5 years, $100 million, $20 a year for Hosmer. Is that fair? Or is he going to get more than that?
No, I think that's about right.
Okay, 5 years, $100 million. Plop him at first base. Put Hoskins in left field. Keep Herrera in center. You sign Carlos Gonzalez, Cargo, on a 1-year deal.
I like that. I like your idea with him. That to me.
Play
is a good
him in
idea.
right. You trade either Altherr or Williams for pitching, and then you have the other one be the fourth outfielder.
What about trying to maybe get a guy like maybe Cobb, signing a
Yep.
guy like Cobb or Lynn?
5 year.
I don't like Darvish because
I would sign Alex Cobb. I said it last week. 5 years, $85 million.
He would
Alex
be a nice
Cobb.
addition.
I would give him the 5th year. Get it done.
He's a good young pitcher. I don't like Arrieta at all. I don't. Like
Then
the
you
way
have
he's
then you
trained.
have Nolan Cobb at the top. You try and piece together a bullpen somehow, and then you have an everyday lineup that you can actually be proud of. I think Crawford's going to be the third baseman. I think you keep Calvez at short.
Cesar Hernandez is
It'll
pretty
be-
good at second.
Well, they have Scott Kingery, who's like the
Was he the big?
he's the slugging second baseman that they have down on the farm, who I
Okay.
think they're going to go with over Cesar Hernandez at second base. I don't think Cesar Hernandez is going to be on the Phillies next year, as much as it pains me to say. I think
Where?
he'll be traded, hopefully for some pitching.
Where's he going to go? The Angels?
The Angels have been interested. A lot of teams should be interested in Cesar
Yeah,
Hernandez.
maybe.
Cesar Hernandez is a good player.
Let me ask you a question. And I don't know if the Angels would do this, but would a trade like for Skaggs work out for the Phillies? Do you think the Angels might consider doing that? I mean, I know he was hurt, but this is a guy that's
If you
got some
trade
talent.
any trade that they make this offseason needs to be guys who can pitch legitimate innings at the big league level.
Would you take a flyer on Tyler Skaggs?
Sure.
Because I think he's a pretty good pitcher. And I think you put him in the National League, I think he'd be a very good
Sure,
pitcher.
because I think that they're going to go with Kingery next year at second base.
Angels desperate.
Whether Cesar Hernandez gets traded this winter or at the trade deadline, I don't know. I would make a choice whether you're going to trade Kingery or Cesar, have one second baseman, because you gotta pick out of these guys and go at some point.
Yeah, the Angels have to get a second baseman.
Franco, you're stuck with at third because he hit 207 last year and looked terrible. So, I mean, maybe he catches fire before the trade deadline, then you can trade him.
Or
But-
he's going to end up in the minors.
Freddie Galvez has earned his position at second base. All right, shortstop.
Yeah, he's been a solid player.
He's got a phenomenal glove. He's
He's
turned
got
into a
power.
very respectable bat.
He's got power.
Yeah, I mean, 20 home runs the past 2 seasons.
20 home runs out of a shortstop. That's
And he's clearly the team leader. He's clearly the captain of the
yeah,
team.
and you know what? There's not that many shortstops that can do that. I mean, just thinking about it, the only 2 shortstops I can think of right now that have hit 20 or more home runs the last 2 years are Didi Gregorius and Carlos Correa. Am I wrong, or is there more than that? Shortstops,
Lindor.
Lindor hit 32 this past season. Okay.
I don't know what he
Lindor.
did the year before, but he's a legitimate.
Lindor
He's a power threat at shortstop.
Yeah, Lindor is a good player. Lindor hit. I don't know if he hit 20 though. I'm just saying 20.
But he's gonna hit 20 next year.
Well, he's gonna hit 20 for the next 10 years. That guy is a phenomenal talent. There aren't that many, though.
Like Bogarts. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. He's not really a slugger.
He's not a home run hitter. The Red Sox are actually thinking about trading him.
That'd be a foolish idea, but
they
good for them.
They want a slugger.
At shortstop?
No, they want a slugger. Period. The Red Sox want a slugger. They want a guy. They're talking about bringing in a slugger, and they would trade for one. The Red Sox are still.
Well, Moustakas would make sense for them.
Over Devers, though. Devers.
Yeah,
plays
they got
third.
the kid there. Yeah,
he looks like a pretty good player.
He does.
He does, but the Red Sox are a little short in the bullpen. I mean, yes, they have Kimbrel, but the rest of the guys they're a little short there. They don't have any power. I mean, they were dying for the power last year. I mean, they're still stuck with the Hanley Ramirez contract this year. They're still stuck with the Sandoval contract this year. So they're still there, and I know that they got Sale on a good price for only $12 million, but that's still $12 million that they added to the payroll.
Yeah, but I mean, weigh that against Price at 30.
Well, that was a dumb move. I mean, the Red Sox right now, I think their payroll they're over the cap too, and at this point, I know that they want to get under the cap as well.
Only 3 minutes left. I want to get back to the Phillies. You have Alfaro behind the plate.
He seems to show
Hosmer, Kingery, Galvez, Crawford. I'll put Crawford at third because I'm just disgusted.
You want
that, and I'm disgusted. I don't know if I'm more want to see him or I don't want to see Mike Alfranco. He was dreadful last year. You have Hoskins in left, which that's a risk, but you need his bat in the lineup. And I think you have to make a splash. This regime has to make a splash, bringing Eric Hosmer at first base.
Would be the only thing I just wonder is I think the Red Sox. I mean, you'd be competing with the Red Sox, but I honestly think the Red Sox are going to go for Santana because Santana they want a home run hitter.
Well, the Phillies have been in rumored for Santana.
Yeah, Santana.
That move doesn't. It would be an upgrade.
But Hosmer's a better hitter than Santana. Santana's a slugger. Hosmer is a hitter. Hosmer will get you 25 home runs and hit 290.
But the thing with Santana is I'm not moving Hoskins to the outfield so Santana can play first base.
But Santana can also back up catcher too.
Come on.
But he can but I'm just saying, but there are games where you could put him behind the plate to rest your catcher.
He's an American League player.
He is. But he could he can play first base, but he can also DH.
He can't DH in Philadelphia.
No, but he can also play backup catcher as well. He is a backup catcher in Cleveland. Well, they moved him to first base because he's a bad.
One last thought before we leave. Michael Fulmer, out in Detroit, he had shoulder surgery. I think he might get moved. Would a package like Cesar Hernandez and Nick Williams?
That would get it done.
Something I'm looking at. That's something I'm looking at.
I would honestly have to tell you, I don't know how long he's going to be out.
John Burr checking in. Ohtani is going to be good. I agree with you. That's all the time we have this week, though. We'll be back next Monday, 8 to 10, right here on A2D Radio. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby producing. We'll see you next week.